Look, y'all know that's my song, right? Ha, ha, ha. Hey, guys. Welcome. I'm super excited for being here with my girl, Amy Derrick. Okay, guys. Look, I'm looking at this background and I'm like, wait a minute, I keep going up and down. Amy's like, it's the lighting. So I'm just, working the lighting part. It's so funny. But anyway, welcome. We're going to be talking about cybersecurity. Of course, y'all know I'm going to be talking about the government contracts and certifications. This is really huge. Both are really important to have in your life. And I'm going to let Amy introduce herself and what she does. And then we're going to go right into these questions.
Absolutely. My name is Amy Derrick. I am the co-founder of Method Network Solutions, and we provide cybersecurity solutions for small, medium, and enterprise sized businesses. So
cool beans. And then if you guys don't know me, check me out, especially on LinkedIn. I talk about government contract certification grants all the time. The money is out there. When we get this money, or even before we get this money, we want to talk about cybersecurity. It's huge. It's bigger than what we think it is. My son, he just sent me an article that it was 26 million people who got their passwords and their usernames LinkedIn, and believe it, they mentioned one of my favorite platforms, Amy.
They sure did.
LinkedIn, they mentioned Twitter, Canva, like they hitting all my favorites. But before we go into that, it's like, hey, Arian. She's like, hey, ladies. Hey, Arian, if you're ready, pop up. This is part of you too. Just let me know. I sent you the link. So it's like a lot of people don't understand what is cybersecurity, right? I hear like, yo, Michelle, is cybersecurity like Cyber Monday? I know a little bit more than some because I used to work in corporate America with, I want to say they're right now, both these companies are in the trillions of dollars, right? Their net worth. So I actually worked in different groups like that. So I have more of an idea. But Amy, let us know, what is cybersecurity?
Well, cybersecurity is a system that you put in place to secure your network. Okay, so that's the broad scope of it. A lot of people think of cybersecurity as, oh, you've got to go out and protect from the hackers. But what it really is a system that you put in place that protects you from any nefarious person trying to penetrate your network, steal your data, compromise your systems. And all of that, begins with you. So when it comes to cybersecurity, I take a holistic approach because you have to deal with the person behind the keyboard, as well as the technology that they're utilizing in order to create a system that works to secure your network.
I'm talking mutely. Y'all can't hear me. So it sounds like to me that this is almost like insurance, right? That you're being proactive, you have things in place. And so if something comes along, or if somebody's trying to get into your systems, that you already have something in place so that doesn't happen. Am I correct on that?
I liken it to a home security system. So you have, you put a lock on your front door, you have the locks on the windows, but cybersecurity takes it a step forward and, may put some biometrics or a Ring doorbell, some cameras, some sensors that will allow you to know when you've been breached. But the goal is to prevent the breach. Okay, so that is the whole system. So we're going to talk about, all aspects of that, even down to what happens when you are breached. Because just because you have a home monitoring system does not mean that someone's not going to break in.
I love it. See, and you went right into it. So what are the consequences? So if I'm a small business or if I'm a large business, it's like what is the cost of not being prepared and having the right systems in place? Because you just mentioned, like, I may have a home system, but if my home system is supposed to be home, but it only works on my front door. If somebody's trying to break through my front door and they're coming through a window, then they can get any and everything.
Mhm.
So what are the consequences? And like, what are some of the highest numbers that you have seen?
I mean, the consequences are in the billions of dollars, okay, to organizations. That's why, companies, like if you take a look at, let's take a look at Clorox. That was what, maybe 5 months ago that they had a breach that happened in their OT environment. And the hackers were able to shut down production at all of their plants. So the cost to them was $11 million a day per plant. So when you're
11
looking,
million. Hold on. You just
yeah,
$11 million a day.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, go ahead.
So they lost production there. In addition to that, it disrupts the relationship between them and their vendors because, you have to look at it the cascading effect when one person gets compromised. So, like looking at LinkedIn, LinkedIn's numbers have now jumped to 29 million people whose data was breached because of their lack of security. Now, things are getting so much more sophisticated in cybersecurity right now because of AI. Hackers are generating more denial of service attacks, more all of these different penetrative intrusions by using computers to hack computers. They're taking the human element out of it. So we're having to combat things in a similar fashion. It has been a fascinating phenomenon to watch. But what happens with small businesses? Now we look at these large businesses, where they're getting fines. Okay, if you're a government contractor, you get breached, you're talking millions of dollars of fines. Okay, so if you have not put together those security measures, a company like ours, we have never been breached in our 10 years of operation, nor has any of our clients been breached. But it's because we have a system for cybersecurity. We have a system that keeps that data and information secure from other people. We started out as a small business and we had to work our way through that process. So we know how to operate with small businesses to help them learn how to secure them, protect themselves. Because when you get breached, you lose brand recognition. Okay.
Mhm.
You're no longer a trusted brand. You don't want to deal with people who have messiness like that. That could potentially send you dangerous and nefarious information through email or links or text message, SMS. When a hacker gains control of your network and they get in, say through your email, they get your entire email list. They have all of your clients' information. They can get into your data files. They can take into even your cloud storage and begin exploiting all of that information. If you have high profile clients, then all of a sudden, say you're a doctor's office or you're a private practitioner for mental health concerns and you are dealing with a high profile person. You have all their personal information, social security numbers, date of birth, all of that information stored. You get compromised, I can guarantee you that person's not going to be happy. So
Yeah.
you lose your reputation.
So you mentioned people, and the big thing is that we like to we like to click on things, right? And you mentioned responsibility again. Like I said, I used to work in cybersecurity, not in the behind the locked doors, but more so as a liaison. And we would make sure that there was education behind it, but people just blew it off because we were $1 trillion company. They're like, people, they got enough money to take care of this, that, and the other. But you made a very good point. But that doesn't negate the fact that now someone has perhaps my information or personal information. What is your suggestion as not only a small business, but as a business to really create a culture for the employees to take notice of this thing is serious. Like this can affect us all. You know, it's not like, oh, the sky is falling. You know, like not.
No, the sky is falling.
You like, no, the sky is falling, Michelle.
It is falling. When it comes to cybersecurity, if you just Google cybersecurity breaches for this year, we're in 2024. If you just look at cybersecurity breaches from this year, I mean, every time you turn around, I'm getting a new report of something that's happening. And in major corporations, we are having a hard time keeping up with it. Okay. But the problem that we're facing is a problem between the person and the keyboard. Okay. So my little fingers getting and typing in and getting into things that I shouldn't. And that's why having a system set in place is key. And with our company, we have certain applications that we do not allow run. We set up multi-factor authentication for every application that it is available for. And then the other thing is the most dangerous device that you have that is on your network is your handheld device called your cell phone. Okay? It's the most insecure device that you have. Why? Because all you have to do is put a 4-digit PIN in, open it up, and you have access to your bank accounts. You have access to your Facebook. They have access to your social media, your Meta, your live stream, your Zoom, all of these things that represent your brand. All of this information is at the touch of our fingers. If there's no multi-factor authentication that is set up to recognize new devices, when they come by and they clone your device, they have access to everything. You've saved your passwords to make it convenient. Okay, there ain't nothing convenient about my phone. There's an 8-digit password that I have to put in plus my fingerprint to get into it for a reason, because this is the least secure device that we have.
This is good, because when we talk about small businesses, a lot of times we are doing some form of business on our phone. We may not do everything on our phone. Well, I would have to say I don't, but I've seen people who have done a lot of business on their phone because it's very convenient. It's really, really convenient. But you're making a point that if we are using our phones as if it's a laptop or if it's a computer, that it needs more guidelines, more safety in place. Again, if we're using our phone, we're in the airport, using the airport internet, that we need to have more things in place. So what are a couple of systems or applications or something, both for our phones and for our laptops?
Okay, when I look at the telephone, I have biometrics on mine as a quick and easy way to get in. As far as I don't allow Android to save my passwords. Okay, I use a program called NordPass as a password management system. You can use LastPass. LastPass has been compromised 4 times in 2023. So I moved off of them to NordPass for greater security measures. The thing that we do with our organization has been end-to-end encryption through using a VPN tunnel and, setting it up to where my phone, if I'm on the internet, is still utilizing my work network at home. And that work network at home is behind a firewall that has protections set up for it. Okay. Small businesses, we get caught up in the expensive things, but we don't take a look at everything. And one of the things that I want to encourage you, you had asked me earlier about, what impact and what things that we need to be concerned about when it comes to our businesses being online. Okay, there were three things that I thought of that I think would be key, and password management on the phone is one. Password management in general, having something create and generate a 16-digit password, and you have one master password, and each website has a different password. That is just should be standard operating procedure for a small business. The other thing isn't necessarily about cybersecurity, but small businesses need to have ownership of their website when
That's
you
good.
hire
That's good.
somebody.
Okay.
That's
When you say ownership now, because it's like I have, we've heard of GoDaddy, we've heard of WordPress, we heard of okay, it's a bunch of them. So before I even start saying that, so what do you mean having ownership?
I mean, you don't hire a web developer and give them full rights to it, because what happens is a lot of people in the creative realm, they own your business and they own your brands, right? If they own your the credentials, the login credentials to your website. So you need to have a master credential and give them administrative rights with a different login that cannot lock you out of your website. Because if something goes shady and south with that web developer, I've seen it happen hundreds of times. They can go online and defame you. They can begin putting pornographic things on your website. They can control the narrative of your brand. They can just shut your website completely down and you have nothing to do with it. It's the same thing with part two, a social media manager for your organization. So if you're giving them control of your meta that covers Instagram and Facebook, and you're giving them control of your LinkedIn profile, then you need to have the master password and you need to have a shared password for them that cannot lock you out of your profile, because you can build up this beautiful organization with all of this grandeur and have someone completely steal your brand.
I love that you said that you brought this up. I know this wasn't, one of the things that we that we had listed out, but this is important because I've had a few clients who would state like, "Hey, Michelle, I was like, hey, if you just update your website to say this, that streamlines a little bit more of what we're doing, that would help with the government contracts and just make those updates." And one of the things that you just mentioned is like, well, I don't have a good relationship with my web designer. I can't get a hold of them. I've asked for changes. They're taking too long. I could have made the updates myself. So something as simple as that, having that established in the beginning is just like, it's really, really important. So just moving into, you also mentioned the multi-factor authentication. Now I know, again, we're seeing it more, but exactly what is that, and then what are some of the options that's out there that a lot of companies that are using that's simple, from simple to complex, and is it really helping us to combat what's happening out there?
Well, multi-factor authentication is basically where when you come in and you put your username and password, it is going to ask for a second verification code. Most banks now, LinkedIn also offers this now, as does Facebook, to where you can designate that it sends you either a text message or an email to confirm, and it gives you a 6-digit code that gives you access into that account. That at least gives you that option. As long as they don't have your phone, you're going to be the one receiving that text message. It also will send you an alert if someone is trying to change your password. It'll send you an alert. Hey, someone who logged in from this device, is it a known device or an unknown device? Which gives you the opportunity to block someone from moving forward if they're trying to take or gain access to your accounts.
Yeah, I love that because I've seen it on different applications. I've seen it on the financial applications. I've seen it on like everyday applications. There's one particular group that, like you said, they'll send this password to you, or this passcode to you on your phone. And some of them, you don't even have to open up the phone. It'll pop up on your phone. So even having that space that, well, first of all, on your phone, that it doesn't matter unless you're actually logged in physically using the phone, you'll see the information. That sometimes if you don't, it will still show you that one-time passcode. Again, if somebody's looking at your information and you don't see it, then they can easily type it in. So even having it embedded that you actually have to open up that text message also
Yeah.
helps. So I mean, it's like there's so many ways that that we don't, that if we're in our applications, that if they say, do you want multi-factor authentication, most definitely say yes. It's easy.
Correct.
They've made it easy. And they they want you to keep utilizing their application. So from there, of course, now we're going to move into government contracts, because that's what I love to talk about. But this is huge because with the government, a lot of their systems are intertwined. This system talks to that system. And when we talk about government contracts, you know, again, that's my jam, that anybody, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what service or product, that the government actually needs what you have. So
Yeah.
with that, why is cybersecurity important when doing business with the U.S. government?
When it comes to the US government, unless you have a cybersecurity system set in place, there are certain contracts that you can't even bid for. Okay, especially working with Homeland Security or the Department of Defense. You cannot even subcontract for a contractor who gains access to a DoD grant or contract. Okay, so there is a high, strict level of cybersecurity that is required, and a basic level of cybersecurity for every organization. They're going to want to know that you are doing what you need to do in order to protect yourself and in order to protect them and their information. Like the big MGM studio, when they were hacked a few years ago, it came through a fish tank. Okay, they lost millions of dollars because they had a subcontractor who came out that had a sensor in the fish tank that needed access to their network for internet service. And that sensor, and all it was a temperature sensor, was on the network, compromised the network, and siphoned off millions of dollars from them, pennies at a time. And so when it comes down to it, when working with the US government, they have a baseline. You have to accomplish this, 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 and this in order to communicate with us, because you get compromised and it just flows upstream, so that is the basis of it. There's millions of dollars at stake if you don't take your cybersecurity serious. And there's some upfront costs to being able to do business with U.S. government, but as we all know, they pay on time. So it's well worth the investment upfront to find a cybersecurity company to ensure that you're meeting those baseline guidelines. Okay, so the firewall ratings, the policies and procedures, to having a crisis intervention team in case of a cyber threat, to having the appropriate insurance for cyber threats, and all of those things that rolls into the factors of whether or not you get that contract versus someone else.
That's really important, because if you believe, or if they believe that you are the weakest link, they're not going to use you. Because if you guys have ever done an RFP or a request for proposal for the government or even for a corporation, there's a rating system. And if that's on the highest part of the rating system, or if it's a have to, because sometimes it's not part of the rating system, these are must-haves. And just going into, again, the government or the minority certifications in a lot of these contracts, again, that is a must-have. They're looking for must-have. So do you have the minimum of the must-have? Amy also mentioned insurance, so I'm gonna bring somebody on to talk about insurance, not this segment, but later, about insurance, and really bringing forth what is being asked, for that particular organization, so you can do business with. So Amy,
Yeah.
to close this out, help us small business owners out. What are 3 things that we need to do, like today, or 2 things we need to do today to help not only secure our personal business, but then also our small business?
Okay, so Michelle, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. We are going to offer a 45-minute cybersecurity for beginners course that will teach yourself and your employees how to detect a cyber threat that comes in your inbox. And so it'll teach you the steps of looking at and knowing whether or not you're being phished. I mean, they're getting really sophisticated. One of my employees sent me an email today about needing some banking information changed on his payroll. Well, it looked legit. It looked really legit, but we can show you exactly how to determine whether or not this is a safe email versus an unsafe email, a safe text message versus not so safe, all of those things. So we'll do a 45-minute class on cybersecurity basics for those small business owners that respond to you within the next 72 hours.
I love that. I love that. That's really important because Amy, like you said, I get those emails too. Like, your employee said this, that, and the other. And I'm like, so why are they? I'm a little confused. Like, that's not our protocol of what we're supposed to do. Like, we have processes in place, and this isn't one of them. And like you said, it's almost like it's urgency. Like, oh, you need to hurry up and like do this and do that. And what do you say to that before we're gonna close out? What do you say to that about those urgency? Like, hurry up, do this, do that.
Just realize that there's nothing that urgent that you need to address immediately. And then also knowing that 80% of all cyber threats happen due to personal error. Okay, so it is me clicking on the link, it's me opening an application, it's me taking the text message. 80% of all breaches happen because of the users. So that 45-minute class could save you millions.
Wow, I love it. What she said, 45-minute class. That time of 45 minutes can save you millions. Well, Amy, I appreciate you coming on, us talking about it. I know we're going to connect again. We're going to talk about this some more. I know people are going to have questions. If you have questions, I'll put it down below. Please reach out to Amy about this 45-minute class. That's what she say, going to save you millions. Thank you so much, guys.